Good morning, everybody. We're out in the barn this morning, and we are reading Matthew 14. If you're new around here, my name is Bear, and we have an entire playlist called Shabbat, which is me reading from my Bible on Shabbat. I get the question repeatedly, what Bible do I use? I use the Scriptures. I also have a King Jimmy sitting right here, as well as I believe we have 11 individual translations of the Bible under roof, which we refer back to as needed to come to the best understanding of the Father's Word that we can. Why do I use the Scriptures? I have an entire video on that, so if you're curious, you can just go to the YouTube search bar and put in Bear Independent Bible, and you should find that. So we're in Matthew 14 this morning, and here we have Messiah. He has just come into Nazareth, and we see here at the end of 13, and he did not do many miracles there because of their unbelief. Okay, so we pick up in 14. A little bit of coffee before we start. Go away, chicken. I got work to do. At that time, Herod, the district ruler, or Herodes, the district ruler, heard the report about Yeshua and said to his servants, "This is Yochanan the Immerser. He has risen from the dead, and that is why these mighty powers are at work in him." For Herodes had arrested Yochanan, bound him, and put him in prison because of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife. For Yochanan had said to him, John had said, "It is not right for you to have her." And wishing to kill him, he feared the crowd because they held him as a prophet, saying that, he and his sister are getting busy, and John looked at him and called him out about it amongst the crowd, and the crowd believed that he was a prophet, so they took his words seriously. So Herodes here threw John in prison for pointing out that he and his sister had been getting, making the beast with two backs, #GoTeam. But Herodes' birthday was being held. The daughter of Herodias danced before them, and she pleased Herodes. So he promised with an oath to give her whatever she asked. This is just like twisted, man. So his sister, this is his niece, his sister's daughter, pleased him in the way that she danced. This is why we are urged as Hebrews to be set apart, man. And she, being urged by her mother, said, so mommy chimes in here and says, "Give me here the head of John the Immerser, John the Baptist, on a dish." And the sovereign was sad, but because of the oaths and the guests, he commanded it be given. He's like, he didn't want to do this, but he had made a public statement, and he was not going to be held a liar, so he did it. And he sent and beheaded John in prison. And his head was brought on a dish and given to the girl, and she brought it to her mother. And his taught ones came and took the body away and buried it and went and reported it to Yeshua. Now when Yeshua heard it, he withdrew from there by boat to a deserted place by himself. And when the crowds heard it, they followed him on foot from cities. So John gets beheaded, head served on a platter to some whorish young girl, I'm guessing, dancing around for her uncle, who probably in some drunken stupor says, "Whatever you wish, I'll give it to you." She says, "Bring me John's head," because mommy chimes in, and he does. And Yeshua hears this. Remember, Yeshua was baptized by John the Baptist, and I'm imagining they were pretty tight, or at least had a mutual respect for one another. So Yeshua hears this, and he withdraws, right? He withdrew from there by boat to a deserted place by himself, and when the crowds heard it, they followed him on foot from the cities. And when Yeshua came out, he saw a large crowd and was moved with compassion for them, and he healed their sick. And when evening came, his taught ones came to him, saying, "This is a deserted place, and the hour is already late. Dismiss the crowd so that they might go into the village and buy food for themselves." There's nothing to eat out here, dude, and it's late in the evening. You should send these guys on their way so they can go get some dinner. But Yeshua said to them, "They do not need to go away. Give them to eat yourselves." And they said to him, "We have here only 5 loaves and 2 fish. And Yeshua said, "Bring them here to me." And commanding the crowds to sit down on the grass, and taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to the heavens, he blessed and broke and gave the loaves to the taught ones, and the taught ones gave to the crowds. And all ate and were satisfied. And they picked up the pieces left over, 12 baskets filled. And those who ate were about 5,000 men, besides the women and children. And immediately Yeshua made his taught ones enter into the boat and go before him to the other side while he dismissed the crowds. So, Yeshua here feeds 5,000 men, besides the women and children. So it could have easily been 3, 4, 5 times that. With 5 loaves and 2 fish. I'm constantly reminded here of the idea that, you use what you have where you're at and ask the Father's blessing, and as we can see here, you end up with more than enough. People tend to sit around and pray for the circumstances to be perfect for them to do the Father's will. If you just make this perfect for me, I'll do it. Well, the math doesn't add up. You don't understand. I can't do it. Math didn't add up here either. But blessed the food, prayed to the heavens, and the Father made himself manifest. Boom. 12 baskets left over. That's awesome. And immediately Yeshua made his taught ones enter into the boat and go before him to the other side. So they hop on the boat and go to the other side while Yeshua dismisses the crowds. And having dismissed the crowds, he went up to the mountain by himself to pray. And when evening had come, he was alone there. But the boat was now in the middle of the sea, agitated by the waves, for the wind was against it. And in the 4th watch of the night, Yeshua went to them, walking on the sea. And when the taught ones saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It is a phantom." And from fear they cried. But immediately Yeshua spoke to them, saying, "Take courage, it is I, do not be afraid." And Kepha answered him and said, "Master, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." And he said, "Come." And when Kepha had come down out of the boat, he walked on water to go to Yeshua. But when he saw that the wind was strong, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, saying, "Master, save me." And immediately Yeshua stretched out his hand, took hold of him, and said to him, "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?" And when they came into the boat, the wind ceased, and those in the boat came and did bow to him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of Elohim." And having passed over, they came to the land of Gennesaret. And when the men of that place recognized him, they sent out into all the surrounding country and brought to him all who were sick, and begged him to let them touch the tzitzit of his garment. As many as touched it were completely healed. Okay, lots going on here. Obviously, O ye of little faith, right? There's a clear instruction there for us. Believe it and it will be. Faith the size of a mustard seed, right? I've heard so many pastors and priests and ministers make hay out of that passage. You don't need me to tell you. I'll tell you probably what you need is to just understand that in the midst of the storm, metaphorically speaking, don't give up your faith. That's all. It doesn't need any more explanation than that. We don't need to make any more hay out of it than that. Don't lose faith. Even as you're struggling, Messiah's reaching out his hand to you to help you. The end. That's what you need to hold on to. I could go on for an hour about just faith and righteousness and just make all kinds of pastoral crap out of that passage. This has been done for time immemorial. Not necessary. Keep your faith. Even when things are falling apart around you, keep your faith. So, By the way, Kepha is Peter if you have a King James, FYI. Now, later on here, we have they pass over into Gennesaret, or Gennesaret, or whatever your Bible says. Mine says drink coffee. When Yeshua gets there, everybody recognizes him, and they want, if they could only just touch his zitzi, the corners of his garments. So what does the King James say? Right. And begged him that they might only touch the hem of his garment. And what does the scripture say? And begged him to let them only touch the zitzi of his garment. As many as touched were completely healed. The zitzi is Numbers 15. These are the tassels on the corners of a garment. We've explained myriad times here. In fact, we have a reading here on it, the Numbers 15 zitziot, in the Shabbat playlist. If you're curious about that, please go watch that. You can also just read Numbers 15 and the rebellion of Korah. And the reason we wear zitzi is so that we do not the harlotry of our own eyes, but instead remember Yah's commandments and do them. And Messiah wore zitziot. And Messiah wore zitziot because if we flip back to Matthew 5:17, a common passage if you spend any time with me. Matthew 5:17, this is Messiah speaking. Do not think that I came to destroy the Torah or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For truly, to complete, to plerau, to embody. For truly I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, one yod or one tittle shall by no means pass away from the Torah till all be done. All is not be done yet. So that means that Numbers 15 is still in play. And I get this all the time. Well, your legalism is you're living underneath the law of sin and death. Well, there's not. Learn to read Paul, bro. And understand that if it comes from the Father, it's not the law of sin and death. It's the divinely inspired law of the Most High, given to Moshe by the Father, and then taught and expanded upon by Yeshua Messiah. So that's not the law of sin and death. And for all your generations, it says here, for all your generations. Right here we have Numbers 15:37. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them to make zitzi on the corners of their garments throughout their generations. We still have generations. And put blue cord in the zitzi on all the corners. It shall be to you a zitzi, and you shall see it, and shall remember the commands of Yahweh, and shall do them, and not search after your own heart and your own eyes, after which you went whoring, so that you remember and shall do all my commands, and be set apart unto your Elohim. I am Yahweh, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim to be your Elohim. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. The point is made here that you do this for all your generations, and this comes from God, the Alpha and the Omega, the creator of the universe, and you, who you are fearfully and wonderfully modeled after, who sent Yeshua to redeem you so that you might do these things for all your generations, like your Messiah did, who was wearing these things. And when people touched the hem of his garment, his zitzi, they were healed. We see this with the lady who had the blood issue for 10 years, 12 years, whatever it was as well. So that's not some abstract belief that I came up with. I just showed you biblically, right here in the Bible in black and white, this stuff's still in play. Okay, then Matthew 15. Then there came to Yeshua scribes and Pharisees, his favorite people. When you hear about legalism, this is the legalism that Yeshua railed against. And he said, as I showed you in Matthew 5:17, nothing passes away from the Torah. From the Torah. Not the obtuse doctrines, dogmas, and traditions and additions of man, scribes, Sadducees, Pharisees, that created the religion of Judaism, of the Hebrew people. Not that. The law of the Father is above all. Okay? Messiah taught and preached the law of the Father. He had a huge problem with the additions of man to the law of the Father, which I might add, so do I. If it says it in this Bible, I'm all over it. If you have to jump through hoops to make an argument using 3 cherry-picked verses from 3 different books out of context to make your point, no thanks, not interested. So, here come the scribes and the Pharisees from Jerusalem saying, "Why do your taught ones," and this is a great chapter because this plays right into the whole argument, well, you see, you don't have to, you can eat whatever you want now. Let's go there. "Why do your taught ones transgress the traditions of the elders? For they do not wash their hands when they eat bread." I want you to just take your pen and underline that. "For they do not wash their hands when they eat bread," and put a star next to it. And understand, this passage is about what? Washing your hands. Keep that in context here. This passage is about washing your hands. Okay. "But he, answering, said to them, Why do you also transgress the commands of Elohim because of your tradition?" He's saying, oh, you got an issue? You guys, your traditions are constantly transgressing the laws of Elohim. "For Elohim has commanded, saying, Respect your father and your mother," which is Exodus 20:12. "And he who curses father or mother, let him be put to death," which is Exodus 21:17. "But you say, Whoever says to his father or mother, Whatever profit you might have received from me has been dedicated, is certainly released from respecting his father or mother. So you have nullified the command of Elohim by your tradition. Hypocrites! Yeshayahu, Isaiah, rightly prophesied about you, saying, This people draw near to me with their mouth, and respect me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain they do worship me, teaching as teaching the commands of men." I have that in bold in my Bible. That is Isaiah 29:13. I recommend, if you don't have it in bold in your Bible, that you underline it, put a star next to it or whatever, and understand again, contextually here, Messiah is railing against people who have added to his father's law, who are not keeping his father's law. And this is a perfect quote from Isaiah, who Messiah was deadly accurate with quotes from Isaiah. "This people draw near to me with their mouth and respect me with their lips, but their heart is far from me." They pay lip service to their faith, but in here they got nothing. "But in vain they do worship me, teaching as teachings the commands of men." This is why I am not involved in the modern Big C Christian church at all anymore, because I truly cannot stand to listen to a man teach me or anyone else things that run counter to the word of the Father as memorialized in this Bible. And the more you read this Bible for yourself, and again, don't take my word for it, put your nose in this book and read it. Read it along with me. If you've not been reading the Bible right now, pause this, go back to the beginning, get your Bible, and start over again. I want you to see this with your own eyes. Don't listen to the sound of my voice. I am a man just like these Pharisees and Sadducees are. I will fail you. How do I know that? I'm a man. Men fail. Remember, Aaron made the golden calf. The high priest anointed by Yah made the golden calf, okay? Men will fail you. Your relationship with your Creator and your Savior is your responsibility, and you need to put your eyes in your Bible and come to the proper discernment for your life with His truth in your life through your Bible and your prayers. Not because I said so or anybody else said so. Okay? Okay. But boy, this reminds me of the box checker mentality of modern Sunday worshiping Christians. "These people draw near to me with their mouth and respect me with their lips, but their heart is far from me." I can see a non-denominational evangelical pastor making hay out of that for I would say an hour, but you can't do an hour. It'd probably be about 35 minutes because we need to close with the worship song and a prayer. And then, you know, we got Sunday football will be on. So, yeah. I can see that one passage right there being completely taken out of context and used to used to support the doctrines that Yeshua is railing against here. And calling the crowd near, Yeshua said to them, "Hear and understand. Not that which goes into the mouth defiles a man, but that which comes out of the mouth, this defiles the man." That one verse has been used out of context repeatedly to say, oh, see, I can eat whatever I want. And thus, Yeshua declared all foods clean. Let's see, where are we? 15, what is that, 10? In some Bibles, it actually says in parentheses, and thus Jesus declared all food clean. Wrong. Wrong. Look at the context. They didn't wash their hands. The Pharisees call them out and go, hey, how come you don't wash your hands? And Yeshua says, oh, you got a problem with hand washing? Look at what you've done to my Father's law. Screw you guys. It says it's not what goes into your mouth, eating with dirty hands, that defiles you, right? It's what comes out of your mouth that's defiling you, Pharisees, Sadducees. You pay lip service to my Father, but you've got nothing for him in your heart. This has nothing to do with food. And by the way, defilement is a lack of ritual purity. It means that you cannot engage in service to the temple, certain acts such as that. Defilement, being made unclean, okay? Leviticus 11, which we have an entire video on, biblical eating, Leviticus 11. It's only a month or so ago in the playlist, so please hop in the Shabbat playlist here at this channel and go watch the Leviticus 11 video and read along with it. But let's just flip to Leviticus 11. Because Leviticus 11 tells us what food is. What food is did not change, has not changed, will not change. Because what food is memorialized in the Torah, in the law, which Messiah himself told us is not going away until all things are done. All things are not done. We are still here. The second coming has not happened. There is no millennial kingdom yet. All is not done. And I will tell you point blank, my conviction is that we will all be keeping Torah in the millennial kingdom. Maybe I'll be wrong, but until such a time, at least until all things are done, we are supposed to do this, which is Leviticus 11, which tells us what food is, right? Which I've read through. I'm not going to read through it overly much now, but speak to the children of Israel, saying, these are the living creatures which you do eat among the beasts that are on earth. Okay, all these things, okay? And then it's a whole list. This is the Torah, and this is the end of it, 46. This is the Torah of the beasts and the birds and every living being, the creeping creatures in the waters, and every being that swarms on earth, to make a distinction between the unclean and the clean, between the living creature that is eaten and the living creature that is not eaten. This is the Torah. Okay, remember that. This is the Torah. Go back to Matthew 5:17. Por favor. Just por favor. You can do it. It's not going to hurt you. I promise you, it's not going to hurt you. Do not think that I came to destroy the Torah or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to embody. Plera'u. For truly I say to you, till the heaven and earth pass away, one yod or one tittle, which are tiny little marks in Hebrew, not even the tiniest little bit, shall by no means pass from the Torah till all be done. What's the Torah? Over here, Leviticus 11:46. This is the Torah of the beasts and the birds. So did Messiah lie to us? No, of course he didn't. This argument about defilement and food being clean is taken out of context. That's what happens there. So now let's go back to Matthew 15. And Matthew 15, we'll just start at 10 again. And calling the crowd near, he said to them, hear and understand. Not that which goes into the mouth defiles a man, but that which comes out of the mouth, this defiles the man. Then his taught ones, which the man is he talking about? 2 verses before, he goes, hypocrites, Yeshayahu, Isaiah rightly prophesied about you. Then he says, not that which goes into the mouth of that man defiles him, but what comes out of that man's mouth is defiling him. Okay. Then his taught ones came to him and said, do you know the Pharisees stumbled when they heard this word? Of course they did. But he answered them, saying, every plant which my heavenly Father has not planted shall be uprooted, meaning that they are not of him, and they will be uprooted because they were not planted by the Father. That's something to remember. I mean, for real, remember that. Because are you engaging in mere religion, or are you seeking the Father's face daily? Are you trying to live your life as Messiah lived his life? Are you trying to do the commands as written on your heart? Hebrews 8:6, 8:8, 8:10. 8:6, we have a mediator of a renewed covenant, which is Hebrews 8:8, and 8:10, our half of the bargain is that these laws get written right here on our heart. Why do they get written on our heart? Because if they're just written here, I can walk away. If they're written on your heart, you take them everywhere with you. And if they're everywhere with you, that Torah will not pass away till all is done. This is the way that we are to conduct ourselves, as constantly demonstrated, embodied by Messiah, who is the archetype for how we are supposed to live our lives as Christians. Christios means Christ-like. If you are a Christian, you are supposed to be Christ-like. Now, clearly, only one man was without sin, and that was Yeshua Messiah, the anointed of the Most High Yah, Jesus the Christ, right? And we are saved only by his atoning sacrifice. But shall we sin all the more so that grace may abound? No, Yah forbid, we should not. And what is sin? 1 John 3:4, transgression of the law is sin, meaning we are to do these things, and the archetype of our faith walked them out for us so that we could see in context how to do these things and what it means to do these things. All of this here is about hand washing, the legalism of washing your hands versus the spirituality of keeping the Father's commands. And what Messiah is saying here to these Pharisees is that you have destroyed my Father's Torah. You want to talk to me about defilement? What comes out of your mouth is a defilement. You have been defiled. You have been removed from the ritual purity, the defilement that allows you to be in service to my Father. You are defiled by what comes out of your mouth. Not my guys are defiled because they didn't wash their hands before they ate. That is the context of this passage. It has nothing to do with clean or unclean food. And all you have to do is read it in context to understand it. And I'm sorry if I get a little passionate here, but it amazes me how people will cherry pick these verses and try and say, well, look, we don't have to do the Torah because of this. Would you please quit looking for reasons why you don't have to do it and be comfortable? You're being comfortable in your sin, and start getting uncomfortably righteous. Righteousness is doing all that the Father commands you. All that the Father commands you to do. If you disagree, read the end of Genesis 6 and the beginning of Genesis 7. And Noah was found righteous, for he did all that God commanded him to do. That's biblical righteousness. So quit being a comfortable sinner and become uncomfortably righteous. Look for the reasons why you should be like your Messiah, not for the reasons why you can't be like your Messiah. Leave them alone. They are blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind leads the blind, both shall fall in a ditch. And Kepha, Peter, answering, said to him, explain this parable to us. And Yeshua said, are you also still without understanding? Do you not understand that whatever enters into the mouth goes into the stomach and is cast out into the sewer? Meaning that, okay, you ate some germs, it goes into your stomach handles it, not a problem because you didn't wash your hands. That's okay. For out of the heart come forth wicked reasonings, murders, adulteries, whorings, thefts, false witnessing, slanders. These defile the man, but to eat with unwashed hands does not defile the man. Underline that again. These defile the man, but to eat with unwashed hands does not defile the man. So let's all just get some clarity and context here again. 15:2, why do your taught ones transgress the traditions of the elders, for they do not wash their hands when they eat bread? And then 15:20, these defile the man, but to eat with unwashed hands does not defile the man. So just so that we're clear here, straight out of the mouth of Messiah himself, not what your pastor, your buddy from men's group said, or some guy that you saw on the internet, or my videos, or anybody else's videos, straight out of the mouth of Messiah himself. This is about washing your hands. This is not about what you can and can't eat. Okay. And if you're wondering what you can eat and can't eat, Leviticus 11. And Yeshua went out from there and withdrew to the parts of Sur and Sidon. And see, a woman of Canaan came from these borders and cried out to him, saying, have compassion on me, O master, son of David. My daughter is badly demon-possessed. Son of David. See, she gets it. She knows. She knows who this is. She understands who Messiah is. The way that she greets him, O master, son of David. I mean, these are honorifics. But he did not answer her a word. He said nothing to her. And his taught ones came and asked him, saying, send her away, because she cries after us. And he answering said, I was not sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Underline that. I was not sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Underline that. Put a star next to it. The lost sheep of the house of Israel. We talk about this constantly here. These are the words of Messiah. You can let anybody, anywhere, under any church steeple try and twist this around and say, well, you see, Israel was done away with because of the establishment of the church and the blah, 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 blah. These are the words of Messiah. They're not Peter's words. They're not Paul's words or John's or James or Luke's or Mark's, who didn't get it half the time anyway. He literally just rebuked his guys. Do you not understand that whatever enters in the mouth goes out of the stomach and cast in the sewer? He's like, do you not understand how your body works, bro? And they're like, Master, explain this to us. He's like, you don't get it? Really? Yet these are the guys that people are willing to hang their faith on when they didn't understand what Messiah was saying half the time. It amazes me how people revere the words of the apostles over the words of Messiah himself. Ridiculous. Good. If you want to engage in Paulianity, go for it. Or Peteranity, or Jamesianity. And I like James, but if you're going to adopt their opinions on what faith and service to the Father looks like over the instruction directly from your Savior and from the Father, man, that's on you. Good luck hearing, well done, good and faithful servant, when you shuffle off this mortal coil. And that's why Yeshua says, many among you, oh, Master, Master, we've cast out demons in your name, we've performed miracles. He goes, depart from me, you workers of lawlessness, for I do not know you. Good. You did things in my name. Cool. Even the demons know my name and they flee at the sound of it. And depart from me, you workers of lawlessness, for I did not know you. And so here, this lady, she's like, look, Master, I need your help. And he says, I was not sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. What is Israel? Israel is Jacob, the tree of life, the 12 tribes. That tree of life, our Torah studies here are called no roots, no fruit. Why? Because the wild branch, the Gentiles, grafted onto the tree. If there's no root stock, that branch dies. The roots are absolute, they're an absolute imperative. No roots, you die. No roots, no fruit, right? And so if you're going to be grafted into the tree of life, you are grafted into Israel. And we see elsewhere in the book of Acts that when Gentiles come to belief in Messiah, what are they instructed to do? No fornication, no eating things that have been strangled, no drinking blood, and go to the temple on Shabbat and learn the Torah. These are the instructions for new Gentile believers to be grafted into the tree of life. Why do they need to learn the Torah? Because they are the children of Israel, the lost sheep of the house of Israel. I was not sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That's his first priority from his mouth alone. Now, thankfully for the rest of us, because very few people come to Messiah from Israel then to Messiah. It's Messiah then to Israel, which is great, myself included. But she came and was bowing to him, saying, Master, help me. And he answered, And he answering said, "It is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dogs." But she said, he just compared her to a little dog. He's like, you know, I'm after my children, and you want me to take the food that I'm supposed to be feeding them and throw it to you? But she said, and this is a great point as well, because we have this constant just battering of the concept that Yeshua was a meek and kind, Jesus was a meek and kind soul and super loving, and yeah, he had a depth of compassion none of us will ever understand. He was also a man and completely unafraid of confrontation and completely unafraid to speak his mind. And here, to his face, he compares this woman to a little dog, okay? But she said, "Yes, master, for even the little dogs eat the crumbs which fall from their master's table." And Yeshua answering said to her, "O woman, your belief is great. Let it be as you desire." And her daughter was healed from that hour. And moving, so she was willing to give him everything. She's like, "Yeah, you're right. You're right. But even dogs will sit underneath the table and eat the crumbs that fall on the floor." And he's like, "You know what? You get it, lady. You got it. Not a problem." And that very hour, her daughter was healed. And moving from there, Yeshua came toward the Sea of Galilee, and going up on the mountain, he was sitting there. And large crowds came to him, having with them those who were lame, blind, dumb, crippled, and many others. And they laid them down at the feet of Yeshua, and he healed them. So that the crowd marveled when they saw the dumb speaking, the crippled well, and the lame walking, and the blind seeing. And they praised the Elohim of Israel. And they praised the Elohim of Israel. Remember that. And Yeshua, having called his taught ones near, said, "I have compassion on the crowd, because they have now continued with me 3 days, and do not have whatever to eat. And I do not wish to send them away hungry, lest they faint on the way." And his taught one said to him, "Where are we to get enough bread in the desert to satisfy such a large crowd?" Okay, cool. You want to send them away with a meal first? We're in the desert, bro. What are we going to feed these people? And Yeshua said to them, "How many loaves do you have?" And they said, 7 and a few little fish. And he commanded the crowd to sit down on the ground. Sound familiar? They sat down on the grass last time. And taking the 7 loaves and the fish, giving thanks, he broke them and gave to his taught ones, and the taught ones to the crowd. And all ate, and all were satisfied, and they picked up what was left over of the broken pieces, 7 large baskets filled. And those who ate were 4,000 men, besides the women and children. And dismissing the crowd, he went into the boat and came to the borders of Magdala. That's the end of 15. We are so quick to say, "There's no way I can do this. I don't have what I need to do this." Sometimes you just need to sit down on the ground and say a blessing and then get busy. Start breaking bread. We worry so much about things turning out right, and we miss the fact that if it was guaranteed to turn out right, there'd be no opportunity for the Father to manifest himself in the doing of, and that the destination is not the goal. The goal is to walk daily in faith with the Father, to step out and say, "I don't know how I'm going to feed 4,000 people with 7 loaves and a few fish, but I'm going to start. I'll figure it out." Last mission when we were in Florida. The last day, we were going to feed hot meals at a rehab center. And right as we were packing up, a guy pulled up with a smoker, towing a big smoker behind a truck. Never met him before, and he had 12 trays of barbecue. And he said, "Hey, I don't know why, but the Father told me to just bring these to you. Y'all could use them." Cool. So we fed 12 trays of hot barbecue. Not all of us. We actually ended up pulling out of there because it was security-wise an untenable situation. But the Reverend Gilbert and 2 of our security guys stayed behind and fed these guys 12 trays of hot barbecue that the Father provided when we needed it. You sit around and wait for the perfect opportunity. Perfect doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in the physical world and the spiritual world other than Yeshua and the Father. but we miss so many opportunities to be blessed in the doing of, because we don't step out in faith. And so I would encourage you, at some point, you need to just sit down, say a prayer, and then move out and start doing. And the Father will figure it out. The Father will manifest himself for you. I tell my people all the time, and I got this from a podcast. It's an entrepreneurial podcast, the Solopreneur Hour with Michael O'Neill, that I listen to regularly. In fact, we talk on the phone regularly, Michael and I, and he is fond of saying, the how is none of your business. And I have adapted that to the Father's business is the how. That's not something we worry about. I know the why, because he tells me to, because he writes convictions right here on my heart, and then I do them. And I know the who, it's me and whoever he sends me. Whoever he sends me to help, who do I need to go help, and whoever he sends to help me, which has been an incredible experience just to see how that all shakes out. The when is when he puts a conviction on my heart. Sometimes I scream at the sky. Sometimes I have to sit in the grass and pray and ask a blessing. But the how, he handles the how. That's his job. I have the same arrangement with the Father that Moshe had, which sounds very egotistical, and I promise you it's not. In fact, it's frightening at times. But I have just literally said to the Father, I will show up if you will. And every time I show up, so does he. There has never been a time that I've needed him that he has not shown up. And when I go do things in service to him first, he shows up when I need him. And it's incredible. You can ask anybody who's been on a mission with us about the provision and blessing that we experience in the doing of the Father's will. So I just encourage you, if all you've got is 7 loaves and a few fish to feed 4,000 people, metaphorically speaking, don't lose your cool. Sit down in the grass, cross your legs, say a blessing, start breaking bread, start feeding people. You let the Father worry about the how. That's his job. Shalom.